Adam Taxin here with a theater tip for you about an enjoyable and somewhat unusual Broadway sort of mystery musical comedy I recently had the pleasure of seeing called The Mystery of Edwin Drood. First of all, my assessment is that I recommend it in particular to those of you who go to theater with some frequency. You likely will appreciate the show's lack of orthodoxy. However, if you're coming to New York City for a once every 5 years trip this Christmas, New Year's, as plenty of people do, and you're going to catch one show, you're better off with Chicago, Evita, or Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Wicked, Jersey Boys, Mamma Mia, Peter and the Starcatcher, Warhorse, etc. Okay, the show started just a few weeks ago at the Studio 54 Theater, where the Disco Club used to be. It's a revival of a show that ran for a year and a half in the mid-1980s. You may find it interesting that the show's book, music, and lyrics are by Rupert Holmes, who most know as the artist who sang Escape, the Pina Colada song, and that just so happens to be the very first #1 hit of the 1980s. It's also interesting that Holmes did all three of the book, music, and lyrics, and that's quite rare. That was the case for Lionel Bart with Oliver, also sort of the case with The Music Man, a great production of which I just saw in Philly at the Walnut Street Theater. Although you should note that with The Music Man, with Meredith Willson, he got sole credit for music and lyrics, but he actually shared credit for the book with Franklin Lacey. Anyhow, the story of The Mystery of Edwin Drood is based loosely on a book Charles Dickens was in the middle of when he passed away. It actually has Christmas-related scenes, although this production of The Mystery of Edwin Drood couldn't be a whole lot more different from productions of A Christmas Carol, which is essentially a morality tale play, as you probably know. In fact, The Mystery of Edwin Drood has no message at all, more than any show, or as much as any show. It's there purely to entertain. The songs are fine, if not necessarily classics, and the acting is great, as you would expect for a Broadway production. I thought, in terms of what really stood out, those would be the costumes and a lot of the scenery. The opium den scene was particularly memorable, up there in my mind with the great, if very different, opium den scenes in the underappreciated Robert De Niro, James Woods, young Jennifer Connelly movie, Once Upon a Time in America. Those of you who follow me know that, for the sake of potential audience members, I really do try to avoid giving away the plot and any potential surprises. I don't want to take anything away from the theater experience, and taking away surprises would do that. I think that policy really has to be the case with this one, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to tell you anything more about the show than I already have. Now, some interesting things for those of you who follow my reviews and what I publish related to theater. You know, I've published some reviews by Jessie, really, that's what I know her as, Jessie Moore, who was a friend I went to high school with and a great writer. Some of those, in particular her periodic criticisms of some sort of audience behavior which ticked her off, those were very popular. Well, there is an actress in The Mystery of Edwin Drood who just so happens to be named Jessie Moore. Mueller or Moore, it's a different spelling of the last name, and she very ably plays the fairly big role of Helena Landless, and of course that was amusing to me, probably amusing to a lot of people who may see it, who went to Strathaven High School with me. Anyhow, also an actress in the show whom I've reviewed and interviewed a few times. She's a lovely, up-and-coming, and extremely talented up-and-coming actress named Janine DiVita. Full disclosure, I've developed a friendship with her. She got a Barrymore nomination here in Philadelphia a few years ago for playing the role of Nancy in Oliver. She was great in a major role in the touring production of Young Frankenstein as well. She's in a much smaller role here, but I do have to mention something because, well, she appears in that aforementioned opium den scene dressed in lingerie. Now, Janine DiVita is an intelligent woman, a friend, a great interview. She has a tremendous amount to say about theater and a lot of things. But you know what? I have to do my job as a reviewer as honestly as possible. I owe it to the audience, especially the often neglected heterosexual male members of the audience, or potential audience. I owe it to them to point out that Janine DiVita is extremely hot. Rather than belabor it, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? I'm going to put up a few pictures of her here. That's her in his arms in this one, and this is her holding a leg. And here are a few from Janine's website. I believe her boyfriend is a fashion photographer, but he does a good job. Anyhow, I'm a fan of Janine's, obviously, and she's the understudy for a couple of the major female roles in The Mystery of Edwin Drood, and I believe that she will be, a few weeks from now, filling in those roles. You can get details, not to mention much more about Janine, at JanineDiVita.com. That's JANINEDIVITA.com. And, perhaps more importantly, for most of you, you can get more information about and buy tickets to the musical comedy The Mystery of Edwin Drood by going to the Roundabout Theater website, which is at Roundabout Theater, that's theater with an R and E at the end, roundabouttheater.com.